40 died in 2016, Kenya's First Lady from 2002 to 2013. Tonight, Kenya bids farewell to a former First Lady, the late Lucy Kibaki. Today, Kenya nation is mourning the passing of former Fairy First Lady Lucy Kibaki, who died this morning at the Bupa Cromwell Hospital in London. Mama Lucy, as she was fondly referred to here in Kenya, had been undergoing treatment at the hospital, having been transferred there from the Nairobi hospital due to long illness. The 75-year-old former First Lady has hardly been seen in public since her husband, Mwai Kibaki, former president, left office. She is survived by her husband, former President Mwai Kibaki, and 4 children: Judy Wanjiku, Jimmy Kibaki, David Kagai, and Tony Githinji. Political leaders and Kenyans in general continue to express their condolences to the family and friends of former President Mwai Kibaki. May her soul rest in peace. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us on KTN Prime. Let's take a look at our top stories tonight. Kenya in mourning after Kenya's former Fairy First Lady passes on in London.
She's a very sensitive person who, whenever things were not working as they ought to, this touched her very much.
Up close and candid, President Kibaki's fierce ally Mudia Wari speaks of moments with Lucy.
On Tuesday, 2nd May 2016, at 10 a.m., we call upon all Kenyans to assemble at the anniversary towers for a date with the IEBC.
Also tonight, Jubilee MPs threaten to take court to court as court threatens weekly protests. Very good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Linda Oguto. Our sign language interpreter tonight is William Silla. Now, it has been a day of mourning for Kenya. Citizens and leaders received the news of the passing of former First Lady Lucy Kibaki. Mrs. Kibaki died this morning at the Bupa Cromwell Hospital in London, where she was transferred last week for treatment. The former president, Mwai Kibaki, his daughters Judy Kibaki and his son Anthony Kibaki are still in London. Jimmy Kibaki is in Nairobi, but it is understood no formal events will be taking place at their home until the former president and his other children return from London. Mrs. Lucy Kibaki had stayed at the Nairobi hospital for about a month as she received treatment, which remained a highly private affair until she was transferred to London last week. President Uhuru Kenyatta broke the news to the nation and was followed closely by other leaders who paid tribute to the former First Lady. Okay, pictures there, just looking back at the life of the late Lucy Kibaki, and several leaders have been sending their condolence messages to their family, the Mwai Kibaki family. Former President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi says the death of Mama Lucy is a terrible loss that will be felt right across the country and beyond. That is the message that is coming from former President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. He says the death of Mama Lucy is a terrible loss that will be felt across the country and beyond, probably because of the different activities that she had been undertaking in the country. I'm hoping we can move to the next board as we look at the different messages that are coming in, condolence messages that are coming in to the Mwai Kibaki family. President Uhuru Kenyatta says Her Excellency will be remembered for her immense contribution in the development of our country. Especially notable was her virtues of leadership and commitment to improving the well-being of ordinary Kenyans. And in in particular her focus on tackling HIV and AIDS, which will remain an inspiration to many, basically just focusing on her efforts to touch on healthcare in the country. Remember, there's a hospital that has also been opened up, and that hospital is called Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. So the president just looking at the different ways in which the late Lucy Kibaki served her people. Court leader Raila Odinga says, "I have only fond memories of Mama Lucy as First Lady. She made our working relationship in the administration and during the Grand Coalition government easy and manageable." He says he remembers her for her honesty, frankness, and principled stand on matters of national and public interest. In a way, she gave the position of First Lady a new role. Just different leaders trying to send the condolence messages to the family of former President Mwai Kibaki. Lucy Kibaki passed on this morning at a hospital in London. Several leaders just trying to eulogize her, saying the little that they knew about her, the role she played in the country. Of course, those messages will continue to come in. We understand the former President Mwai Kibaki is out of the country, is in London with his children. We're keeping an eye on that story for you, and we're trying to see if we can get to speak to one of the family members as soon as we can, just to condole with them and to find out what this has been for them in the next coming days. We understand they'll be flying into the country. We'll let you know when they will be flying into the country, but what we do know is that there will be no notable activity at their Muthaiga home until the former President Mwai Kibaki and his children, of course, make their way back into the country. So here's the thing. She was a notable, powerful presence at State House, Nairobi. She was a fierce protector of her family and a critic of cabinet ministers and politicians whom she felt were not helping the nation move forward. Here's Rita Tinina with the life and times of Mama Lucy Kibaki.
Nyeri is where it all began. Lucy, a pastor's daughter, was born in 1940 in Mukorene to Reverend John Kagai and Rose Nyachomba. She began her educational journey in Nyeri before she joined the prestigious Alliance Girls High School. She was later to take up the chalk and chalkboard after training as a teacher. She rose to the position of a principal and oversaw operations at a teacher training college in Kiambu. But her fortunes would begin to change. In 1960, she met the man who would become her husband, Mwai Kibaki. Kibaki had just returned from Makerere University after resigning as an assistant lecturer in economics. The Lucy Kibaki romance went on for 2 years, during which time Kibaki served as an executive officer for KANU. In 1962, Kibaki married Lucy. The same year, he left his role in KANU. In 2002, under the National Rainbow Coalition, Kibaki was elected president, and Lucy, who had remained in the shadows during Kibaki's political journey, became Kenya's third First Lady. It soon became clear that Lucy was not your ordinary First Lady.
I was angry.
She did not shy away from expressing her feelings, albeit sometimes in what many saw as an abrasive manner. When in May 2005, the Daily Nation published a story alleging that she had stormed the house of her then neighbor, World Bank Country Director Magda Diop in Muthaiga at midnight to demand that he turns down the music during Diop's farewell party, Lucy stormed the Nation's center, staged a sit-in, and slapped a cameraman, accusing the paper of printing lies about her and her family. But that may have just been the beginning of her dramatic episodes as First Lady. Lucy, who upheld family values, made Kibaki convene a rare press conference to affirm his monogamous marriage to her.
I want to make it very clear that I have only one dear wife, Lucy, who's here.
We have been tormenting us. I don't know what to get out of it.
For Lucy, it was a love-hate relationship with the media.
Immediately I came to your studios last night to attack you the way I did in the nation.
For those who rubbed her the wrong way, she dealt with the situation on the spot. At a State House Jamhuri Day garden party in 2007, Lucy slapped the master of ceremony after he referred to her as Lucy Wamboi. Still at State House, she is said to have slapped former MP Gitobo Imanyara in January 2008 after he disagreed with the view that Budalangi MP Ababu Namwamba be sued for an attack on President Mwai Kibaki. Lucy spoke her mind, defending the government with a no-holds-barred approach, even when dealing with ministers in Kibaki's administration. When over 100 people died following a fuel tanker explosion in Sachangwan, she turned the heat on the then Internal Security Minister, the late Professor George Saitoti.
The minister is there today, and I'm going to say, Minister Saitoti. He waits until he hears of bandits in Northeastern, bandits somewhere else, and the next day you see him there.
But despite the episodes that made her capture the headlines and her seemingly abrasive nature, Lucy Kibaki had another side to her. She had a soft spot for women and children issues and the challenges facing the youth.
Nina mpango wangu vijana. Nitakuja hapa nikutane na nyinyi na tuone vile tutaweza kufanya kazi pamoja. You women give things easily, many don't. At this century, you should know you have to be aggressive to get what you want.
But Lucy, who had stayed behind the scenes before Kibaki became president and who remained in the limelight for just over 8 years of her husband's presidency, would disappear from the public eye 2 years short of the end of Mwai Kibaki's tenure. Her jig during the promulgation of the new constitution at Uhuru Park on the 27th of August 2010 was the last Kenyans saw of her. Now, following her failing health, Lucy Muthoni Kibaki is gone forever. A controversial First Lady, Lucy Kibaki will be remembered for different reasons. But the mother of four, no doubt, gave a different meaning to the role of First Lady. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Hi people, Rita Tinina there with the life and times of the late Mama Lucy Kibaki. So tonight, on our big question, we are not asking a yes or a no question. What we want to know is, what are some of your memories of the late Lucy Kibaki? What are your memories of Lucy Kibaki? There are those who say she was a no-nonsense kind of person. There are those who say she was motherly. But then there are also those who say she was a strong defender of her family. What do you think? What do you remember her for in the years that you have known her as the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya? Tweet us at KTN News. You can tweet us as well at KTN Kenya. You can tweet me directly at Linda Ogutu. Some of you are already talking about some of the incidences that happened and how you remember her, some of the memorable moments that will probably stay in your minds for a very long time. So tweet us, let us know what you think. So let's take a look at how someone else describes her. Very sensitive, tough, and a champion for women welfare is how the late Lucy Kibaki has been described by former Vice President Mudi Awori. In an exclusive interview with KTN News, Awori says the late Mama Lucy had a very warm personality and was very devoted to both her husband, retired President Mwai Kibaki, and her family, as Duncan Khayemba now reports.
According to former Vice President who also served as Funyula Member of Parliament, Mudi Awori, the late Mama Lucy Muthoni Kibaki epitomized a true African woman as a homemaker who religiously guarded and protected her family at all costs.
Her devotion to her husband, the president, I think that really touched me, because you do not see that much affection in public among the public personalities.
He says his interaction with the Kibakis began in 2002 during campaigns for the then opposition leader Mwai Kibaki, who later won the election, becoming Kenya's third president.
She has a very warm personality. You just imagine many groups of people from diverse areas of Kenya descending on your home every other evening or afternoon. You need to be a person really with a warm personality to accept this. And this is what was happening in 2002.
On the flip side, he admits Mama Lucy was a no-nonsense person when it came to matters humanity.
She's a very sensitive person who, whenever things were not working as they ought to, this touched her very much, particularly when there were deaths, big deaths.
Awori vividly remembers how tough the late Mama Lucy was, citing an incident in 2002 as retired President Mwai Kibaki went to County Hall to present his nomination papers before the then Electoral Commission of Kenya, ECK.
We were getting into a lift, and there were many people, and she was among. And people tried, to push around. And she said, "Listen, I am Mrs. Kibaki, and you must know that I am going to be the wife of the next president." And people, they had not noticed or realized her. So she, and she talked in a very gentle way, and people came to realize that here is somebody, so as it so happens, really almost all of them moved, and I think we remained about 3 or 4.
On a lighter note, Uncle Moody still remembers that moment when he made reference to Mama Lucy as the second lady at a New Year's party.
I tried to explain that this is the time we're having a second first lady. But then I said, this is the time we are having a second lady, Mrs. A slip of the tongue. And of course, everybody, was, they buzzed. And of course, for a while, Mama Lucy, second, said what? But it passed. It passed, and so I hadn't even realized that really I had, until I think it's Carissa Maitha was close there. I said, "First lady." So I said, of course, that's what I said, the first lady. But things moved a bit. People started making comments at the time, even during, and even afterwards. But to Mama Lucy, the next day, I was back at State House. She never even even mentioned it at all. And from there onwards, it's as if it never happened.
In general, he says the late Mama Lucy Kibaki was a very private person, but a fighter for women welfare. Devoted, sensitive and tough is how former First Lady, the late Mama Lucy Kibaki, has been described, whom Kenyans will definitely remember for her role during President Kibaki's tenure as the President of Kenya. Duncan Haimba, KTN News.
Okay, so news about the demise of former First Lady Lucy Kibaki started trickling in the morning at about 11, and of course there was that message from His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, and several leaders have been sending in their condolence message since then. We've seen what the President Uhuru Kenyatta had to say, former President Daniel Arap Moi had to say, Court Leader Raila Odinga, and of course Duncan Haimba has just spoken to former Vice President Moody Awori. Let's now listen to what members of the Parliament said in tribute to the former First Lady Lucy Kibaki.
I swear.
On behalf of Udaya people, we are saying sorry for our former president, our former MP, kwa sababu tumepoteza rafiki wetu, mama wetu, na sisi tuko pamoja na familia wakati hii, lakini tunajua Mungu, sisi sote tutaenda tutamkuta huko, lakini naombea former president na familia, Mungu awasaidie wakuwe strong, na sisi watu wadha tutafanya kila kitu yote inatakikana, sisi iko pamoja na wajue hawako peke yao.
I knew her very well. After I was chased from ODM, Mzee Kibaki adopted me, and Mama Lucy Kibaki adopted me. Politically, they adopted me because it was through Mama Lucy Kibaki and Mzee Kibaki that a number of projects went to my constituency, and I am sure many of us who served in last parliament had the rare opportunity to engage with her, and at this very trying moment, I want to send my sincere condolences to Mzee Kibaki, his family, and the people over there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to send my deep-felt condolences to the family of the former President Mwai Kibaki. It's my prayer, Mr. Speaker, that may the Almighty God give this family strength and comfort at such a difficult time. It reminds me one time when I was with Mama Lucy in one of the Catholic churches, and it's very fresh in my memory when she was singing during the time of the gospel. This was a lady, Mr. Speaker, who was very firm, very decisive, and very open. She meant what she said. She was a no-nonsense lady, and we are calling upon leaders to emulate her openness, her way of doing things, instead of being a pretender, preaching water and you drink wine.
But on behalf of the people of Siaya, I take this opportunity to send our condolence to the family of the former president, Mwai Kibaki, the people of Othaya, and the Kenyan people. Mama Lucy was a role model to all of us. She was very stern, she was outspoken, and she stood for family values. I remember very, very well when the media was on her and the name of the family was going to be damaged, she stood very strongly to defend her family. And I think that is one admirable area or part of her life that will go well in the history of this country.
As women leaders and as Kewapa, we've lost a great woman leader who taught us how to be brave and speak our minds without fear. Mr. Speaker, we'll all remember her for having made the people of Kenya realize that there was an office of the First Lady. Having stayed for many years without that office, she certainly made a mark in that office, Mr. Speaker, sir. And she also taught us how not to fear men, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mama Lucy Kibaki had no time to waste if she thought that a certain man didn't do things right. It didn't matter your position. She told you to your face that you have done a wrong thing, and she didn't fear to tell you so.
Members of Parliament, they are paying tribute to the late former First Lady Lucy Kibaki, who passed away today at a hospital in London. Several people have been paying tribute to her, trying to describe the kind of person that she was, from political leaders to family to friends. And of course, we just saw Othaya Member of Parliament Mary Wambui there. She says We have lost a friend, saying God should actually help her family. And we here at KTN also express our condolences to the family of former President Mwai Kibaki, and all we can say is may her soul rest in peace. On our big question tonight, we are asking for your memories of Lucy Kibaki. What are your memories of Lucy Kibaki? What will you remember her for? When you think about Lucy Kibaki, what do you remember her for? Tweet us at KTN Kenya. You can tweet me at Linda Ogutu. You can tweet us as well at KTN News. I'll be sampling some of your feedback, what your memories are of the late Lucy Kibaki. Some of you are already tweeting us. We thank you for being part of this bulletin. I'll keep sampling them during this bulletin as well. So here's the thing: at Lucy Kibaki's Mukurweni birthplace and her Othaya home, residents remember her with fondness, recalling the various ways she helped them and made a difference in the community. Carol Nderi was there and reports.
Our arrival at the Kagai household in Ngoru village in Mukurweni, Nyeri County, was met with silence. Only one worker, Mary Nyambura, was present. Having been hired just 2 months ago, she was yet to meet Mama Lucy. Lucy was born here as Lucy Muthoni Kagai in 1940 to John Kagai, a reverend in the PCEA church, and Rose Nyashomba, a farmer. Since her illness, Lucy has not been home much and was even unable to attend her own brother's funeral, James Kigo Kagai, in 2011. Consequently, many people from her home turf had not seen her in a long while, but remembered her good deeds during her reign as First Lady.
Tuweza kumkumbuka kwanza kwa hii lami iliwekwa hapa. Hii kakoto tuliwekewa hapa. Hiyo ndio inafanya sisi tumkumbuke zaidi.
Huzuni sana kwa sababu ya kumpoteza mama tuliyempenda na mama mwenye alishikanisha taifa mzima.
Mukurweni Member of Parliament Kabando hailed Mama Lucy as a strong visionary woman who did not shy away from defending what she believed in, sentiments echoed by Nyeri Governor Nderitu Gachagua.
Wherever we are, we will pray for the family to feel strong and feel that the people of Nyeri are with him during this very, very trying time.
There are many who are enjoying prominence in business and in professions today as a result of the mentorship that has been done by the Mwai Kibaki family.
In the family's other home, workers were sprucing up the compound in anticipation of the many guests who will continue to stream in to offer their condolences. Here too, residents shared their memories of Mama Lucy Muthoni, who was known for her love for education since her days as a young pupil at Mehuti Primary School before proceeding to Alliance Girls.
Panyeri ni dokta yetu ya hapa, tena amekaa hapa na sisi, ametusaidia mambo mingi, na kwa hivyo sisi tumepoteza mtu ya maana.
Son of Nyeri, we feel that we have lost a very respectable woman.
Ni pigo kubwa kwa sisi watu wa Othaya.
It is expected that the two homes in Mukurweni and Othaya will be a flurry of activity in the next few days.
They say she shall surely be missed, for she did inspire a lot of people. Carol Nderi, KTN News, Nyeri County.
So what are your memories of Lucy Kibaki? Tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. Tweet me directly at Linda Ogutu as well. We'll be looking through them during this bulletin. We're taking a short break. Stay with us. We'll be back. Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. To other news now. The Kenyan Opposition Court has now put the Jubilee administration on notice to either engage them in negotiations on reforming the Electoral Commission or face the full wrath of the opposition. The court principals Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula say protesters will be occupying all IEBC offices in the 47 counties every Monday until the IEBC commissioners bow down to pressure and leave office, or the government engages them. Chris Thairo reports.
A day after police tear-gassed court principals and their supporters as they tried to occupy anniversary towers and forcefully eject IEBC commissioners from office. The same was replicated Tuesday morning in the counties of Kisumu and Migori as court supporters tried to occupy IEBC offices. In Kisumu County, police were forced to hurl tear gas canisters at the protesters, who were led by the county governor Jack Ranguma. But undeterred, they vowed to continue with their planned eviction of IEBC commissioners. In Nairobi County, the court principals were issuing a stern warning to the Jubilee administration that what has been happening for the past 2 days is only a tip of the iceberg, and they should expect more protest countrywide.
On Tuesday, 2nd May 2016, at 10 a.m., we call upon all Kenyans to assemble at the anniversary towers for a date with the IEBC.
The writing is on the wall, and this insistence must continue. Will continue.
According to the opposition, Kenya will not go to the next general election with the IEBC as currently constituted, and they say they will ensure the use of the power of the people to bring the much-awaited reforms in the Electoral Commission.
IEBC is now irredeemably tainted with scandals, a chicken gate and all. The Supreme Court is collapsing under the weight of corruption allegations.
We the people are sovereign. If the state makes an attempt to establish or run the government otherwise than in the compliance with the Constitution, we the people shall resist.
The opposition intends to have a bipartisan approach on reconstituting a new commission as they engage their opponents. But according to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the government will not allow destructive demonstrations. Uhuru says that if anyone wants the IEBC commissioners out of office, they should follow the due process of the law. Jubilee leaders are also now threatening to take court to court over the protests.
Hiring and firing of IEBC commissioners are provided for under the Constitution, and street demonstrations is not one of the options provided in the Constitution.
The opposition called coalition is determined to ensure that IEBC commissioners leave office before 2017 general elections. But are the current commissioners ready to bow down to pressure from the opposition?
Tumesimama imara, tunalinda katiba ya Kenya, tunalinda ukweli. Na kama watu hawataki tume ambaye inalinda katiba, toa sisi. Kama mtaki tume ambaye inasimamia ukweli, then toa hii ya IEBC ya sahi.
The opposition has also dismissed the notion that they have not tried the legal way of reconstituting IEBC, claiming that the commission itself sabotaged the Okoa Kenya referendum drive that aimed at bringing major reforms in the country, including the Electoral Commission. Chris Dairo, KTN News.
Let's now focus on a story that has been causing jitters in the region and within the UN Security Council as well. South Sudanese rebel leader Riek Machar was sworn in as first vice president this afternoon, hours after he returned to the capital of Juba for the first time since conflict erupted more than 2 years ago. Machar took up the post under the terms of a peace agreement reached 8 months ago, implementation of which had been repeatedly delayed by disputes between Machar and the government of President Salva Kiir. After more than a week of delayed return, Machar arrived in Juba and was greeted by government officials, members of his SPLM in opposition party, diplomats and officials from the United Nations peacekeeping mission in South Sudan. With the airport under heavy guard, his return is a crucial part of the peace agreement. It was Kiir's sacking of Machar as his deputy that ignited the 2-year war in December 2013, which has killed thousands and displaced millions in the world's youngest country. But his arrival had been continually postponed since the agreement was signed in August. Just last week, it was put off again until international mediators intervened to end a dispute over how many soldiers and what weapons Machar would be allowed to bring with him back to South Sudan. That is a story we are keeping an eye on for you. Remember, It is a story that we kept an eye on for you the whole of last week, when there was all that concern about whether or not Machar was going to make his way back to South Sudan and the implications therein. So some good news from South Sudan. He's finally in South Sudan, has been sworn in as the Vice President. You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take another short break, but here's the thing. Tonight on every question we're asking what your memories are of Lucy Kibaki. Tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. Tweet me directly at Lindo Guto as well. I'll look at them just before we end this bulletin. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's look at business news now. Could you be planning to fly out in the next couple of days? Well, be notified. The Kenya Airline Pilots Association has threatened that pilots will down their tools if KQ's Chief Executive Officer Mbuvi Guze does not resign. KTN Business delves deeper into the implications of the 48-hour strike notice by CALPA.
It could turn out to be the first major strike by Kenyan pilots if threats made by Kenya Pilots Association see the light of day. With an average membership of over 500 pilots, CALPA, through its staff talking Secretary General Paul Gishinga, maintains it is time for Kenya Airways Chief Executive Officer Mbuvi Guze to exit.
It is time to end the rhetoric and salvage the pride of Africa. As the association representing members in Kenya's employment, CALPA has a vested interest in the recovery of the national airline, Kenya Airways. We are convinced that the current group CEO lacks aviation experience, capacity, and the moral authority to champion the airline's recovery.
The association has accused the airline CEO of mismanaging the national carrier, which has been on a loss-making streak, the worst ever in Kenya's aviation history.
CALPA hereby issues a 48-hour strike notice effective today, 26th April 2016.
People decisions are much more sensitive, and the thing about people decisions, it's not that you can just make a casual approach to them. We have to make, as part of the holistic view of the plan, a solid review of where do we need to take reductions, what sort of quantum do we need, what's the impact of that, and how do we finance it.
The airline's 25.7 billion shillings loss in 2015 was linked to a downturn in tourism following Al-Shabaab attacks in the country and the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, one of the airline's key markets. The strike threat by the association could further destabilize the airline that is fighting hard to take off again. The demands made by CALPA come against the backdrop of an impending retrenchment exercise by Kenya Airways, in which at least 600 employees could lose their jobs beginning May this year.
We already made decisions around aircrafts. So today, we've sold 777-200s, two of them, they're out of the network. The 777-300s, we are subleasing those. We are subleasing another 2 787s. So all those actions have been taken. Those are painful decisions in a business.
The airline has dismissed the reports of a strike, saying such a strike would be illegal as it is in violation of the required minimum period of 7 days' notice. The statement further says such a strike would be in bad faith, terming it an act of economic sabotage given the current challenges at the national carrier.
Let's now focus on some good news for the youth in the country. Barclays Bank of Kenya set aside 230 million shillings investment kit is set to benefit over 70,000 Kenyan youth in developing their skills and development needed to help them start their own businesses or secure employment, to be rolled out under its shared growth agenda. Philip Kitani has more.
It takes a university graduate an average of 5 years to secure a job in Kenya today. And with more than 31 local public and private universities churning out an average of 50,000 graduates annually, the reality is worse. Many of those in employment are not engaged in jobs for which they are qualified. This significantly dims the prospects of a university-trained individual in Kenya, which Barclays Bank, through its shared growth agenda, is now trying to change.
The shared growth agenda is informed by the knowledge that as we grow, society prospers, and as society prospers, we grow.
According to the bank, the shared growth agenda will be driven through 3 pillars: education and skills, enterprise development, and financial inclusion.
We're trying to use this approach really to unlock societal solutions by providing innovative products, services, and partnerships
Under education and skills, the bank will equip the next generation with the skills and development they need to secure employment. Under the second pillar, enterprise development, Barclays Bank will help the young people start, run and grow their businesses in order to generate income and employment.
We need to prepare the younger generation not only for employability in the sense that they look up to the government to provide jobs, but to be job creators.
The bank will enter into partnership to facilitate the development of technology that will promote inclusive banking models to increase access to financial services to the unbanked. Philip Keitan, KTN Business.
Elsewhere, infighting at Kenya's National Irrigation Board played out in the public as differences between the Cabinet Secretary and the Board of Directors came to play over the decision to suspend the NIB General Manager Joseph Barasa. Last week on Thursday, the NIB Board suspended the General Manager, his Deputy and Procurement Manager over gross misconduct and financial mismanagement. On Monday, the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamalwa, revoked the suspensions, terming them unprocedural. The move to overturn the board's decision is suspect, as the Board of Directors has the final say in any matter relating to the agency. The NIB that is tasked with overseeing all irrigation projects in the country is also meant to oversee multi-billion shilling projects such as the Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme.
The Financial Report, in association with Standard Chartered Mortgage, the mortgage that gives you more than just your dream.
The newly crowned London Marathon champion Kipchoge steered off the world record talks despite running the second fastest time in history while defending the London Marathon on Sunday. Kipchoge was speaking on arrival at the Eldoret airport together with the second place finisher Stanley Biwott, who admits he was surprised by himself.
The London Marathon participants jetted back to the country Tuesday morning and headed straight to Eldoret, where they arrived to a low-key reception with only family members and close friends present. The seek the drink of champions was, however, in plenty. On arrival, Eliud Kipchoge and Stanley Biwott, who gifted Kenya with a 1-2 podium finish, expressed their feelings about the performance.
I am happy for winning and also for running a course record in London. But I was not believing that I could run 2 or 3. It became a surprise also. I was happy when I see that when I crossed the finish line and 2:3:50, I was happy. But I cannot confirm that I'm going to break a world record. But you know, it's only 2 days after I ran a fast time. So I'm still to go and relax, sit down and plan. One day, one time to represent my country in such a big event. I'll run it and I'll be very grateful. And I'm going to do my best. I'm in the hands of a Federation, so if they will select me, I will go for Olympics.
Kenya has only won the men marathon once through the late Samuel Wanjiru in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, while Ethiopia has dominated that front. Lynn Washira, KTN News.
Right, thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Tonight, Kenya is mourning former First Lady Lucy Kibaki. On our big question tonight, we asked what your memories are of Lucy Kibaki. Several leaders have paid tribute to her. Several leaders have condoled with the family. So Pascal Norbert says the public knows little about former First Lady Lucy Kibaki. She played her role well. Ivy Sella says, very passionate, spoke her truth, misunderstood, full of life, stuck to her guns, tough. Dickens Nyamongo says, no nonsense, tough talking, political tigress, high principled lady, family lover. Kip Korim says, I remember her for the Domo Domo song. She was a woman who meant every word that she says. James Irungu says, I remember her for how she was protecting her husband while he was in power. Mwenzi Joseph says, still memories lingers when she stormed the media house. I guess that's what most people will remember. People, thank you so much for watching KTN Prime. That's where we leave it. On behalf of William Sila, who has been our sign language interpreter tonight, I'm Linda Gutu. Here's the thing for those of you on KTN News. The last word begins right now with Sophia Wanuna. She's focusing on the two-third gender rule. That's a conversation you really do not want to miss. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Gutu.